The Rosie and Bill Show wish to thank our partners and Positivity primary sponsors.
The Roselli Agency, based in Kennett Square, Pennsylvania. Brian and his team of insurance professionals have been serving the needs of Chester County for more than 2 decades.
The Mallon Agency, located in Springfield, PA, where they take pride in tailoring the right insurance policy for the right client and exceeding expectations every time. Welcome, everyone, to the Rosie and Bill Show. Rosie and I are super excited about our guest tonight. He's a Grammy and Dove award-winning producer who's worked with some of the most talented artists in the music business. And his band, they're amazing. The Music City Connection, they can be seen every week on the Huckabee Show. Please welcome to our show, Tre Corley. Tre, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here with y'all.
Well, it's nice to finally have you on the show, Tre. We've been following you for a while. I have a question for you based on what I read about you as a young boy. I understand that at the age of 5, you started playing the drums. Yes. What was the inspiration for you to sit on the throne at such a young age?
Man, my family had a Southern gospel group growing up. So we were, performing as a family group, and they had to have a drummer. And I think my dad thought if they had a really, really young kid playing that maybe they'd sell more tickets, I guess. My brothers both played drums and piano and stuff. So I had to play music. It was just kind of in me. And my brothers taught me a lot. My brother Paul sat with me on the drums and taught me a lot. So it was kind of, I didn't have a choice when I was young. It was just happening.
It's interesting because a lot of kids at that age, when they see a drum or, it's natural for children to gravitate and just start banging like a cacophony of sound. But it seems to me that you had a natural affinity for it.
You know what? I picked it up very quick, and it was, like I said, it was just kind of in you. If you've ever heard somebody talk about it just felt natural and it just came quick about anything, if they're a painter, if, they're whatever their profession is, it literally was so quick and felt natural. So I fell in love with it at a young age, for sure.
Well, Tre, as you moved on in life and went beyond playing the drums at 5 years old, and as you said, your entire family was involved in music. I'm curious, Did anything other than a career in music ever even cross your mind?
Oh man, no way. I worked construction a little bit with my dad, and I knew after roofing a few houses, there was no way I was going to give up playing music. I'm sorry for any of those houses that I helped roof in Missouri that they didn't work. I apologize. I had no business doing that. But yes, I knew just the feeling of watching people being almost like as if music to me, just it transcends you in places. When you're having such a terrible day, if you're sad, goodness, watch a movie without music and see what happens. And to watch people's facial expressions at a young age. I grew up playing in church as well. And, it's a spiritual thing for me, and watching people the way they would feel when you would play. I think it's hard to explain to somebody that's never paid attention to an audience. When you do, and you see the smiles and the tears and the joy and the happiness and the sadness, it's quite it's difficult to get away from that.
That's beautiful. And it's so true. Music can be so cathartic. I remember one time we had a sad thing happen where I worked, and one of our coworkers passed away suddenly, and we were holding up okay. and we were walking into the church, and all of a sudden we heard his music group that he used to sing with singing the Rainbow Connection from the Muppets.
Yes.
And that was it. We all lost it.
Yep.
We were like, music, darn it.
Yes, exactly. Totally get it. You're so right. That's exactly what happens.
So Tre, you hailed from Joplin, Missouri, and in 1997, you relocated to Nashville. What prompted that move, and what were the early days like?
My older brother, Sam, moved to Nashville first, and he was playing music. Of course, my brothers, Sam and Paul, had a small studio in Joplin, Missouri, where I'm from. And when my brother decided to move here, my brother Paul and I kept the studio going. And, I was playing drums, playing keyboards, and programming music and doing small things. My brother Sam moved here, and he said, the music scene here is so different and so amazing. You guys have got to move here. And it didn't take long for us. We came up a few times and seen how sessions worked. And the difference, first of all, the players in Nashville. Man, I am so glad I moved here, because from a small town in Joplin, I don't want to make it sound there. I felt like I was the king of the world. I moved here, and in 10 seconds, I was like, yeah, I got a lot to learn. It was so great for me. And the musicianship here, I loved the guys, because I met ladies and men that were such incredible musicians at their craft, and they weren't afraid to show you things. Nashville is a really cool place. It's different than some of the other places I've worked out of. New York, LA. I've worked some records in New York where the musicianship, it's not that they don't have it, but our hospitality shows in our music. I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, the fact of the way that you grew up, I think, goes into what you play and the way that you portray your gift, if that makes sense. And there were so many people that really showed me things that if I wouldn't have moved here, I wouldn't have learned and wouldn't be the person I am today, which is amazing to me.
And, Tre, that seems to be a common thread with a lot of the folks we've had on that went to Nashville, was very similar, reactions to what you just said. And some of them have even said that when they went there, to echo what you said about, boy, I have a lot to learn. But if there's a better place on earth to learn it, I don't know where it is.
Exactly. Totally agree.
Yeah. And over the years, since you made that move, you and your brother Paul, you've really built an amazing business with Oak Tree Studio. And I'm wondering, with all the time and effort and success you've earned over the years, what's it been like taking that journey with your brother?
Oh man, that's the coolest thing ever. I've had so many people, man, how do you guys work together and get along? And I'm like, well, we might not get along every day. There are days that, are a little different, but to share it with your family, it's so hard to put that into words, because it's mind blowing that we've worked on records together. This year we won another Grammy together. I think that's the coolest thing you can ever say. We did something that, let me explain it this way. I have friends that say they'd never be able to do that with their brothers, that it just would never be able to happen because their work, the way that they work and their personalities clash. And my brother and I somehow figured out a way to where we sharpen each other. My brother can come in and be listening to a mix and tell me, the kick's not right. And, this isn't right. And yet I can come in and I'm, producing something and I could tell my brother what I want. We learned where our strong points were and how to respect one another when it comes to those things. And to now look at it and be able to share that with my brother, bro, I can't put that into words. It's absolutely, it's amazing.
That is incredible. Congratulations to both of you, because you're right. A lot of people don't have that kind of a relationship, and it's very special, and it's good that you're aware of it and you're grateful for it, and that you can communicate with each other in a respectful way. and be like, have that synergy together. And he's not the only family member that you work with. We understand that you work with the most incredible wife in the universe, your
Yes.
quote, in the Music City Connection, and your wife is a singer.
Yes.
What is that like for you?
Well, again, sharing it with your family is so amazing. Knowing that your wife understands what you do and you complement one another is so cool. My wife, she vocal directs a lot of things. So several records I've produced, she probably the background vocal, she might have written it all out. And, I was giving ideas and we wrote them out together. She brings a lot to the table when it comes to the vocal directing. So on our show, it was a really cool thing when they said, they gave me the opportunity. You bring in the people, it's your band, it's your singers, do it however you feel is best, as long as it's at the quality, that we want on TV. And a lot of people didn't know that was my family. My sister Hope also sings on the show with me. She's one of the singers. So I never kind of voiced it that it was all my family. I hated when people would do that to me in the past. You find out you didn't like something and well, that's my uncle, let me fire him. That's no good. But it was a cool thing to watch her even with the creativity has got so, I want to say even more in depth and bigger, because I feel she's been challenged so much with some of these artists that, golly, I would listen to these people growing up thinking I would love to meet them one day. And now you're helping put something together. It's mind blowing. And then to share it with her and be able to go home and talk about it. And can you believe this happened and this happened? Yeah, again, it's hard to put into words. It really is.
Revenge changes fate. Why wait till there's hate? Love rebuilds and heals. It can mend your broken heart.
That's so exciting. So now that leads me, I have to follow up with this. How did you and your wife meet originally? Was it a music connection?
She thought I was rich. I'm just kidding. She found out I was a musician. That was not true. When my wife and I met, from my eldest brother, Sam, he was in Missouri before he moved here. And which, by the way, he passed away a few years back. He's no longer with us. But before he passed away, in Missouri, he was teaching piano. And Chanel came to a lesson, her and her mom and her sister. Her and her mom were taking piano lessons from my brother. And my brother said, we were both 14 at the time. My brother said, I met your future wife. You have to understand, she was 14, I was 14, and wow, today I can honestly say we went to our first date with our family, with our parents, when we were 14 and 15 years old. So I've known Chanel for a long time now, and if I tell how many years, then it'll put an age on me that I don't even want to say. I'm getting up there.
How do people know that? How did your brother know that?
I know, isn't that nuts? He said because of the musicality in her family and in our family, there was just a connection there. When I met her mom and dad, her parents are pastors actually still in Missouri. I was a preacher's kid, which explains a lot about me. So that right there explains how I was always trying to get God to accept me, because I had some mess. And so my wife, I want to say her family with the creativity, and we had the same upbringing. It was just such a connection so quickly, spiritually, musically. Her dad plays guitar. My dad plays guitar. Her mom plays piano. My mom played bass. Everybody played an instrument. Her family sings, and it was just a connection spiritually and musically that wasn't easily taken away. It was pretty amazing.
Well, and I have to tell you, Tre, just a quick comment or two here before I get to my next question that just came to mind as we're talking about this, because I've watched you and I've watched the Huckabee show for years now. And when you just were talking about how, your wife, she could work, from a background singer perspective, with these amazing artists. Yeah. And one of my favorite singers of all time is John Berry.
Oh yeah.
And when he was on the show and doing Live Like You,
Yeah.
and if I remember correctly, I think two of the background singers maybe were behind him. And
Yes.
you would think there was an entire chorus behind him.
Yeah. There.
And many of the guests that we've had on our show have been on your show performing. And what struck me each and every time was two things. One was your band is good or better than any I've ever seen. And I absolutely mean that.
Thank you.
And two, the sound. I've never heard anything like the sound that comes from you guys could make me sound good. I mean, it is amazing. How do you do it week in and week out?
Well, that would be my brother. My brother is also the head engineer of the show. So when I said got a lot of family there, my nephew is one of the sound engineers there as well. There's a lot of my family there. So when you have, again, when I'm doing records, I want my brother's got to be the engineer in the studio. Well, when you have the engineer that you love in the studio, also the engineer for the Huckabee show, and he's taking care of it, and your crew that you work with in the studio is your crew that's actually doing everything to multi-track and save it and bring back to remix. That makes it totally different than just going anywhere and recording. And what I love about the Huckabee show, they did not, TBN did not want to just do an average show. And when we brought to the table of we wanted to remix it and master it and have it the best that we can for when it aired, they totally agreed with that and went with that, said, let's do it. So as soon as the show is over, my brother Paul and I come back to the studio, come right here, and we remix everything. We want it to be, yes, it is live. Yes, we are doing it. I've had people ask me, are you guys really playing? Yes, we're really playing. It's really multi-tracked. We remix it, and what we played is actually there. And you just got a lot of ears that are there that are really, they want it to be the best it can be. And when you love, like you said, John Berry, all these artists, I can honestly say we have so much respect for them. We want it the best it can be.
Well, mission accomplished.
Thank you.
Wow. Yeah. I didn't realize that was done. Are you guys like one of the few shows that do that, or is that standard?
There are some shows that do. Yes. They're always recording earlier in the day. Probably some of their turnarounds, they're probably a little quicker than us. We record the show Friday night and it airs Saturday night. So we have roughly 8 to 10 hours to do it. So it's a quick turnaround, but still the time to just tweak those few little things to make it better. And again, it's when you have great players, great singing. Our guitar player, our bass player, when Gov's not playing, everybody that's there are professional musicians. As you know, Nashville's covered with them. And you got great players playing. A lot of the times they'd come in and they're the one that was playing on the record, which is pretty amazing as well.
For those people who don't know what your job is like, can you walk us through a day in the life at the Huckabee show? Absolutely.
I'd love to. At 10 a.m. is when we all get there on a Friday morning. I have already sent at the beginning of the week. Let me go back. Monday morning, we have a meeting every Monday for the show for Friday. And that is a meeting with Governor and all the producers. Lori is kind of my right hand. She's the bass player on the show. Her and I will be at those meetings. I am technically the music producer and the music director. So I get to have say in certain areas because it's just what Governor envisioned. So when we go to these meetings, we talk about who all's going to be on the show that week, last minute tightening up if there any licensing issues, things like that. And then Monday, when that meeting's over, which only lasts about 30 minutes, it's not a very long meeting, especially now that we've done it so many years. Lori and I will come to the studio and start picking break music. To me, that's the funnest part of the show. Picking anything we want to play, if it matches somewhere, if somebody's talking about a book and we're like, man, that would be a cool song to play there. Sometimes it's just favorite songs we want to play. We also try to stump Gov, which a lot of people don't know, but sometimes we'll play old school songs just to see if he knows. And I still can't stump the guy. He knows, he can tell you who played on the records, and it irritates me. So we'll eventually, but we'll play all those break musics, and we'll chart them all out and have them prepared. So they'll get sent to the band usually around Wednesday, and Governor will get his chart as well for the music for the artist. When we go in, everybody's had their charts. They work at home at their home studios, making any notes. Sometimes we're on the phone talking out a few things. We get in Friday morning at 10 a.m. and start rehearsals for the day. At 10 a.m. is just the band. We'll run all the music, work on any questions. Maybe there was something wrong on the chart. Go through that. Go to lunch and come back after lunch. Usually there is a 1 o'clock meeting with all the camera crew and all the the producers, directors, going over the day now for any questions that might need for camera people, audio, all that stuff. Around 3 o'clock, rehearsals start for guests coming on the show, sometimes earlier. If it's a full band and it's a massive setup, usually they get there a lot earlier. And then around 5 o'clock is when we will rehearse with the artist. Now, before then, about 2:30-ish, we'll rehearse the music with Governor if he is playing, if he's able to fit it in the schedule. And then when the artists get there, we've already ran the music and tried to get it as perfectly as we can before they get there. And very seldom, I mean, there's changes here and there, but we're pretty prideful in wanting to make it exactly what we've already talked through and sent back and forth with the artist. And that's pretty much it. The show starts at 7, and we take it from the top just like it would live and treat it like it's a live show.
Fascinating.
Yeah, that really is, Trey. We appreciate you sharing that with us because
Absolutely.
again, we see the finished product on Saturday nights, but now having that sort of behind the scenes look into all that goes into it, it really is amazing. And again, we thank you for that. And I have one last question, Trey, that I have to ask you. And this is a very important question, at least for me and maybe for some of our viewers. So I'm just going to come out and ask, where can I get a TC hat like the one you're wearing? And is it available in a 7 5/8?
It is. And yes, you can. And I can send you one.
That was shameless. Shameless.
I meant, where can I get one to purchase? Of course.
Well, oops, I just turned off my light. I think that was saying the lights are out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, let me answer that as soon as I fix this for you. I apologize. Goodness.
It looks good.
Okay, I think I had, there, that's the right light. Okay. Yes, you can. But if you go to the musiccity-connection.com, there are, we have t-shirts and all kinds of stuff there, but the TC hat is not there. But I can get you one because they're not available for purchase.
Oh,
But I can get you one.
oh,
I like
Wow.
I
You don't
will
know
wear
what
it
that means
proudly.
to him to be in that inner circle like that.
I know it's pretty amazing. I know that's pretty amazing.
it's, oh, man.
You
All right, I
gotta
have no
come
more
to this-
words other than thank you.
You guys will have to come to the show and hang out, like come early as my guest, and then check it all behind the scenes and come hang out with us.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like
Love
great
to.
fun. That's awesome. Trey,
Absolutely.
we have really loved talking to you and having you on the show. And we will, whenever we're in Nashville, we're going to definitely reach out to you and come and
You
check
have
out
to.
the show. And we really appreciate you taking time out of your busy week to come and talk to us.
You are so very, very welcome. And thank you very much for having me. I'm very honored to be on and get to talk about the great things that are happening on Huckabee. And thanks for letting me do that.
It's our pleasure. And we thank you for coming. We wish you all the best. Folks, thank you for tuning in. And we'll see you next week.
Tell me, how am I supposed to live without you? Now that I've been loving you so long, how am I supposed to live without There in the corner standing, she wonders where she is. And it's strange to her, some people seem to have everything.